Welcome to the Three Principles Global Community webinar. The Three Principles Global Community, or 3PGC, is a nonprofit organization that is committed to bringing an understanding of the three principles as introduced by Sydney Banks to people throughout the world. And today we're delighted to have Sweer Medema speaking to us. He lives in the Netherlands, and he first came across the principles around 2018 and became a 3P practitioner in 2020. He loves helping people progress in the understanding. In his work as a coach, he helps people navigate and overcome the challenges of modern life. And this is very exciting. He is in the process of writing a book called Being Resilient, which he hopes to publish later this year. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Sweer. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Tom. And thank you for coming tonight. Very pleased to see you all. Let me try to give you somewhat of a background about me. I have been in management consultancy for most of my life, really. But at the beginning of that management consultancy, I was also invited to become a coach for people within the organization. And I had some training to become a coach, to help my colleagues and people who were a little bit lower in rank than me to grow in their development. And that grabbed me. Hi, Marcella. Hi, Bernice. And that really grabbed me because I saw people develop, I saw people grow, which was so amazing. And so I carried on. I had a little bit of a mishap in 1999, but that also made sure that I was starting to look in a different direction. Because I was hit by a car while running. I had 3 brain contusions, which took me out of a business for a year at least, and then I recovered slowly. After that, my view of coaching and doing business or management consultancy had changed. I was much more looking for people to grow, and not so much the organization to get it in a fixed set of processes and so on. And that moved on. In the end, I became a managing consultant of a team of 45 consultants, which I led in change management. But I got fed up with the change management the organization was doing and the way many organizations were doing that. So I started looking around, and then in 2012, I decided I had enough and I started on my own. Because I thought there must be a different way to help people grow, develop, and, well, to be blissful. So in 2018, I ran into the principles just by accident, really. And it hit me like a freight train. I was so really still moved. I think about that. Because for the first time in my life, I could see a way to help people in a proper way. In such a way that they would grow, they would develop, they would get the best version of themselves. So I dove into that. And after 2 years, something peculiar happened. My head went quiet. At some stage, I didn't have any thoughts anymore. At first, I was shocked. I said, oh my God, something's wrong. Something is missing now. And then I realized, my God, this is exactly what I was trying to achieve. This was exactly what I was trying to get to. And I didn't know where it came from. But since then, my head is much quieter than it has ever been. And that's great. And by, all those old mental issues I had, anyone has probably, just fell off. So 3P has changed my life fundamentally. And the great thing is that in those years, I've learned to bring it forward, to help people understand this understanding better. And I'm having a lot of conversations with other people who are doing different things, but I still have no inkling to look in a different direction. Now, the title of this program, this webinar we have tonight, is Why Fried Chicken Won't Fly into Your Mouth by Itself, is one of the chapters of my book. Well, it's really quite obvious, huh? Fried chicken won't fly very much. But on the other hand, we are, and I was taught, especially by many people from the Three Principles, that if something is bothering you, do nothing. And that seems like very sound advice. But there's something to it. Because if you don't do anything, nothing will happen. And the somewhat difficult ways we have to learn, and that's what I had to learn, that if you don't take your own thinking seriously, especially your negative thinking, you'll suddenly find that your brain learns not to pay too much attention to your non-negative thoughts anymore. And they'll just vanish. They'll just go away. And it doesn't mean that they don't go away all the time, because I'm not always blissful. Sometimes I have my doubts or my things. I have a bad day. Yeah, I still do. But it does make my life so much easier when you are early in catching it. So when you learn, and it's really learning, not to pay attention to what you've been doing all the time, and you've been repeating that all the time. And I'm also an adept of taking care of your brain. Mind is not your brain. Your brain is an automatic processor who does a lot of stuff for you, wonderful stuff. Especially if I don't have a cup here now, but if I have to pick up a cup, I don't have to think about that, which is wonderful. Because if I would have to think about it, nothing good would come out of my hands if I had to think about it every time. So it's wonderful we do that. But the silly thing is, but we try to do it everywhere. And we try to automate all of our processes, which doesn't make sense, because then you cannot make sense of what you're doing. Then your decision on what you're going to do is not very sound. So I learned slowly but surely that it matters how you deal with your thoughts. And not doing anything with them is really not helping. So I made an alternative. I always tell the people I work with, say, you have two types of experiences. The first one is the non-helping experience. We know that. We know that all the time, because we see that something is bothering you or pestering you, or something is making you feel sad or angry or whatever it is. And yes, they happen. But as soon as something like that happens, you have always the same 4 results. It'll make you feel awful. It'll cost you heaps of time just to solve it, and you'll try to solve it because you don't want to be there. it'll cost you heaps of energy. I don't know about you, but when I've had a fight with my wife, and luckily we don't have that much anymore, but when I have a fight, I'm spent after that. And the last one is, afterwards, you'll be thinking, what was I thinking? Why did I do that? I must have been out of my mind. And the other one is the helping experience, helping thought, which makes you feel great all the time. It gives you energy. The sad thing about it, it's over before you know it. And afterwards, you'll be proud of yourself or the one who's you're doing it with. So then I say, what's the point? Why would you pay attention to an experience or a thought that isn't helping you? It's costing you energy, it's costing you time. And afterwards, you'll be thinking, oh my God, what was I doing? Just don't. But you can catch them because you know we have this incredible tool to know when we're in a bad phase, because it feels bad. It doesn't feel okay. And as long as it's neutral, it's okay. It's fine. As soon as it gets a little bit less than neutral, you'll say, oh, wait a minute, I don't want to go there. And that's afterwards, I think, how it happened with me, how my head went blank, which is it's absolutely blessing, because it allows me to get much more space in my head to think about stuff at a slower pace. So my thoughts are much more calculated, much better thought through. And my creativity is increased. So I'm happy with that too. So yes, we are taught, don't do anything when you feel bad. Yes, in a way that helps, but it's not enough. Be aware that it's not helping you and just don't pay attention to it. Learn to really actually learn not to pay attention to it. And then you'll see suddenly that things will start falling in your way. And the funny thing is now, because if you pay more attention to stuff you like, then suddenly you see more opportunities. You see more possibilities, which is quite nice, absolutely, because then things will start falling your way. Okay, now I've been talking for 15 minutes now almost, so let's have a look. Is anyone who has a question?
Yeah, if anyone has a question, just go ahead, raise your hand. And that's down at the bottom, the reactions button, and you'll see the raise your hand button, and this is a great opportunity.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Hey, Marcella.
Hi, Marcella. Hi, Marcella.
There we go.
You have to unmute yourself.
Oh, okay. There I am.
That's right,
I had
that's
to unmute myself and I was on a different machine and I couldn't figure out how to do it. Okay.
Okay. Hi, Nancy.
Wow. Hi. This is great. Hi, everyone. Yeah. So are you essentially saying that on the one hand, do nothing can be a way to go, and on the other hand, it actually isn't? So there's like either or. It's like you could see how doing nothing, yes, but on the other hand, there is something to be able to learn more about paying attention to these things. This thinking is in and of itself a problem, right?
Yeah.
So is that what you're saying? It's like both?
Yeah, in a way, yeah. It is. quite hard to find in word to define in words. But what I also sometimes use is we have a way of focusing our attention to something which is bothering us, and what we do is we narrow that diaphragm. So at the end, you only see this one big thing which is behind the diaphragm, and you can't see anything else.
Absolutely. Yes.
So,
Yeah.
and that's such a waste, because then you're focusing on that, oh, that has to go away. And if you do that way, it won't go away. It will get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Mhm.
And the only way is try to opening up again and just step back and open up that diaphragm or your what are they called in English? You put them on horses' heads.
Oh yeah, the blinders.
Blinders, thank you. Yeah, I couldn't find the word.
Right.
The blinders. That's what we do.
Yeah.
If you put blinders on, you can't see only that's which is between the blinders.
Right.
If you open up, you suddenly see so much more. And the funny thing is,
absolutely,
as soon as we open this up, we will see more.
Yes. Yes. And so I'm wondering if it's something about, like the formless energy of wisdom, and it's pure, and then it comes into thought and it's already
corrupted. Yeah, absolutely.
Already corrupted. And so that's what we have to deal with as humans. We get, some corrupted thing. And any organization, is trying to do its best with what it's putting out there. And so it even struck me, it's like, well, gosh, if it's kind of do nothing is like the thing to do, it's like that's almost crazy, because the whole thing is to listen to wisdom. And part of it is because when we get like the blinders on, like you described so well, is that where is wisdom? Well, we've blocked it out.
Yeah, we locked it out. Absolutely. And the funny thing is, we use our brain to make sense of the world. And the only source our brain can compare it with is our memory.
Mm-hmm.
So everything you notice is related to what's in our memory. Otherwise, you can't even notice it.
Absolutely. And then that really resonates with listening, is that we really stop listening. The only thing we listen to is what you described, is that little tiny, and then we make it bigger and go around and around and around in our thinking, and nothing else comes in because we're stopping it.
Yeah, and the problem is, in real life, it is like that. The only thing we can see are two small dots, which are represented by our eyes. The rest is created by our brain, based on our memory, based on what our brain is creating, our consciousness is creating. And the only thing we actually can see precisely is what we are focusing on. And that is always judged by our brain. Is it safe? Is it not safe?
Yes. And then our brain is also going into the past to dig up, this is when this happened, and just to make a snarling mess. And so
and the trick is
I love that there is a certain level of freedom in just being able to see what is happening.
Yeah, and just notice it, as many of our teachers have told. Just notice it. Don't have a judgment about it.
Right. And so I think some of that plays into do nothing. It's more. It's like the zen of simply noticing, and that noticing isn't a doing. And anyway, it's just that. Yeah, I really wanted to have this conversation. As you can see, I'm excited.
Wonderful. Yes. Thank you.
Yes. And I love the fried chicken thing. Living in the Southeast right now in the United States, fried chicken is really a a big thing. And hot chicken, now hot chicken,
Hot
that'll
chicken
jump
wings
right,
and so on. Yeah.
hot chicken will jump right in your mouth.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Yeah.
good to be here. Good to be here.
Thank you very much, Nancy.
Sure.
And Marcella, go ahead.
Hi,
Hi, Marcella. Good to
hi,
see you.
John, and Ivan and Nancy, and yeah, maybe I might add something to that. I have heard it from you many times, by the way, and I'm immensely grateful, Sphere, for that. And yet, what hit me at the beginning, how you mentioned that our brain won't automate. How did you say that?
Automate stuff.
Automate
Yeah.
that. Yes, thank
Yeah.
you. And it happened actually shortly before this webinar to me, because at this time of the year, I usually have this slow monster in my head, which has been recording, the house is going to be full and it's really frightening. And I have learned not to pay attention to it so much. And yet, I was, as I said, shortly before this webinar, I was walking in the wood and I really enjoyed myself. But shortly after entering the wood, I obviously lost myself in that thinking, in that learned thinking. And I was walking and a little bit noticing, but I guess very little, because the brain got over and just based on the learned stuff, try to mix it all in and try to analyze and predict this, what may happen, and And then at one moment on the footpath in the wood, I just shook my head, and as if I just woke up from the dream, and I said, oh, I was just lost. And then I realized for some part, although I know the journey, I picked up the raspberries. There are everywhere raspberries. So
delicious.
Raspberries. So that was when I was present, but then I was lost again. And then I realized I didn't even notice where I was walking through. And the moment when I shook my head, and as if I woke up, I just, oh, right. Look, there are so many beautiful flowers in blossom, and the trees and the birds, as if I returned to the wood. And yes, I started to pay attention. Of course, it came to me also, oh, you were not good. Something like grade 5, you got lost again, That's not good. But then it came to me, but well, that's small voice. It can happen. It's okay. And I said, okay. And then I was walking, and I guess I finished the journey and way back home, and I was already present. But it was funny. It was funny. Yeah. And it will always happen, won't it?
Yeah. Absolutely. It goes on and on and on. We fall in and we fall out all the time. And the funny thing is, it happens continuously, and it happens so quickly that you don't have a grasp on it. And it's okay. It's fine, because our brain has had millions of years to keep us safe, which is the main goal of our brain, to keep us safe as possible. And the second one is to keep the energy level usage of your brain as low as possible. I've read somewhere that our brain uses 20% of all our energy when you're doing nothing. When you do nothing, then it uses 20% of your energy. Can you imagine what they're doing now when I'm talking to you? It must have been quite a lot more. And then your brain starts kicking, wait a minute, now I don't have enough, maybe I don't have enough for the rest of my body to keep my breathing going, keep my heart beating, keep all my processes going. That might be a problem. Please don't do that. So switch back to automatic. Switch back to automatic. You'll use as little energy as possible that way. That's why it's trying to switch back to automatic all the time. Because it saves you energy. You don't have to think about how to pick up a cup or to pick a flower. And then on the other hand, and I don't know about you, but Well, yes, we live near a marsh, a small marsh, and it's quite undeep with a lot of water there. And I walk the dog with there all the time. And yesterday there were, for the first time this year, the spoonbills came back, and they're quite rare in the Netherlands. So it's always an event to me. So I stood there just enjoying the spoonbills, catching their food in the water, because they have these big beaks and they go through the water, sifting out the little animals and it's a strange bird, really, but it's so amusing and I can it gives me energy. Looking at those birds, enjoying that rare moment of that they are there, they're looking for food. It's nothing important, but it's so good to be there. And that's when your automation just switches off. Then you are in the moment, you're enjoying what's going on, you're enjoying life. And that's what people are. I was just looking at the soccer games here in the Netherlands. The Netherlands had to fight in the eighth finals against Romania. I think they have won. And it wasn't finalized yet, but I think they have won, so that's good. But that's why people go to football or soccer or any other sport, to enjoy that moment. Oh my God, this is where I came for. That's that short moment of bliss we are all looking for. Then we say, oh yeah, this is why I came here. This is why I'm here. And that's so rewarding. That's so strengthening. And as soon as you learn to enjoy that and let it into your life, then suddenly it doesn't seem worthwhile to pay attention to non-helping thoughts. And the great thing about our brain is it learns so technically. I often use the video from Professor Arnold Seth. He's a neurologist from the University of Sussex. He has a TED talk. What's the title again? We hallucinate ourselves through life. That's his title. Approximately his title. And he has this little sound track. He lets people hear it, but he's marbled it, so it's in the beginning it's quite unintelligible. So then he plays it off at a normal rate, because the first 2 times he plays it off a little bit quicker, so it's hard to understand what he's saying. Then he plays it off in the normal rate, and then you suddenly can hear what he said in that, well, sped up version. And that's how quickly, within seconds, how your brain learns to adapt to a new situation. And it's amazing that it can do that. And we do that all the time. We influence our experience with our brain all the time. And that's okay, because it helps, it works, but not always. And the only thing we have to do is to learn, is to say, okay, now I'm having a non-helping experience. Let's not go there.
And the brain does it actually to save our energy, if I understand it well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
It keeps doing it. It is unhelpful, but the brain thinks in his good will that an intention.
And sometimes that gets to a very and sometimes it gets to a very big situation. I had a client who had been using DMT, which is the active component of ayahuasca tea. They use in South America. You can hallucinate with that stuff, and you get all kinds of weird dreams. I've never used it, but that's what I've been told. You get all kinds of weird dreams, and you get a real heavy trip. And he tried that, but the problem is that for some reason his brain concluded, oh, you want this, so you'll get it. So he saw those experiences over and over and over and over again. Came back to him all the time. So it took me a long time to help him see that he created it himself just because of the fact that he believed what was going on. His brain believed that.
Mhm.
And he's
But-
still not entirely out of the woods, but he's doing a lot better. One of the most successful tattoo artists here in the area. I think he's booked the next 2 years full, so he's quite successful. And he's a gifted tattoo artist. I'm not into tattoos, but he's gifted. He's making beautiful stuff. But on the other hand, once in a while I get a WhatsApp message from him and say, "Oh, it's so bad again." I said, "What are you doing?" Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm believing it again. Yeah. That's where you are. Stop it. Just stop it.
And focus and appreciate on something
Yeah,
nice.
what's there?
Because
And
what you
there are
said.
so yes. And he
On the other hand,
creates.
appreciate that, rewrite those patterns.
Yeah, and he creates beautiful stuff. He makes these amazing tattoos with a lot of detail and a lot of stuff. And I think, oh wow, I wish I could do something. I'm not a tattoo artist. I'm not interested in tattooing, but it is really art. I say, oh, you got this gift. Use it. Enjoy it. Cherish it. Hold that dear to your heart. Because it's so beautiful. And we all have that. So, like I had yesterday with the spoonbills, and they're gone now. But it's only one day, and it's fine. And maybe they'll come back later summer. I don't know. We'll see. It's just that moment. Just those silly spoonbills. And they're really strange to feel. It's a big white bird with a big beak, which goes like that. It's a crazy big animal. But it's so enchanting, really. And it's yeah, and then I feel so close to mind, really.
Nice. I just wanted to mention the Mavis books. It's
Oh,
that
it's
simple.
beautiful.
And
Yeah.
guess where I opened it today? May I just read the short?
Yes, please do. It's beautiful.
Because it's closely related with what we have shared, I guess. All life is made of the same elements in billions of different configurations. We are made of the same stuff as stars. We are stardust. Carl Sagan.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and it's true. And
Mm.
even that stays the same for only maybe 7 or 10 years. And then you're all worked up again with all different stuff. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that
So
amazing?
thank you.
And we still feel the same. The scars won't go away for some reason. All the wrinkles get worse. But yes, but still, it's amazing that this happens. I have this beautiful beings we are, each of us, these beautiful beings we are, and we get this small part of mind or universe or whatever you would like, or God. It doesn't really matter. It's all the same for me. And it's so beautiful to be part of that. Because we get those wonders every day, every minute, if you want it. That's a gift. Iqbal, did I pronounce your name right? You raised your hand.
Yeah, it is Mikael. And how
Mikael.
do you pronounce yours?
Sphere.
Sphere. All right. Well, nice to meet you, first of all.
Nice to meet you, Mikael.
Nice to see everyone else, like very well-known faces to this point. I just wanted to comment on the the main topic of that you brought up for this webinar. I kind of noticed that when we fall into, I've fallen into that sort of trap of just don't do nothing, don't do anything with these thoughts, and just, I remember sometimes much time ago where I would sit down and kind of, I'm supposed to wait, or I'm supposed to feel this, and nothing will happen. And it hasn't been until so what brought things home was what Sid says about we have a free mind and free will.
Mm-hmm.
That made me think about, well, perhaps I am keeping this alive. If I have free will, if it's me who's doing something with this imaginary stuff, I might have something to do with this, but I might be keeping it alive. It turns out I was. And since then, it's been so much easier to recognize the habitual thinking coming up, because it has the familiar icky feeling as always.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this stuff again. And yeah, as you were saying, it's not super easy to explain, but the conclusion I reached was, if we get a good understanding of it, we kind of see this on our own. I've noticed that when it wasn't, when the habitual thinking was spending too much time in my head, was because I was following instructions or doing things that I thought I was supposed to do, which was beyond testing what I would read in the books or what I hear, what I learned in the webinars or so. Anyway, in my experience, it seems as though we need to test this and to be very uncompromising about it. Because otherwise, I mean, that's how I've got through plateaus at least. Anyway, I've been, I think, a little bit all over the place with my comments, but yeah, just this idea that yeah, not doing anything with it gets us stuck.
Yes and no. I had a series of serious depressive days in the past, long past, around the 2018, 2020, now that period. And luckily, I had someone who said, I think you feel like you're in the cellar. It's a cold, dreary cellar with hardly any light. You feel terrible. You feel locked up. Maybe you can see through a very small window at the top where you can see the other people walk, and you feel so disconnected from them. Just stay there. Just stay there and just sit it out, because it will change. And it always does. It always changes. And I have been in that cellar for 3 or 4 days at some stage. And I felt terrible. But on the other hand, something said to me, you'll get out of it. And I did. And for some reason, now I don't go back there. I don't feel like it. There's nothing for me to find. There's so much other stuff to find everywhere. And that's amazing. Like those silly spoonbills, or maybe a sparrow in the garden or something like that. I can enjoy that for half an hour or so. Just sit there and enjoy the sparrow. Have you ever seen how many colors a sparrow has? It's amazing. It's amazing. And how many different sounds they can make. They sit on the roof of with the neighbors, and they make all these funny, strange noises and something. That's even a bird. That's something else. What's that? And then once I saw something, I think on Instagram, with a bird who was doing an engine, acting as if it was an engine, which is amazing. And it's all there, just for us, just for the taking. Isn't that beautiful? And that gives me my resilience. And yeah, sometimes I fall down. Sometimes I step into traps, as you said, Mikael. But I get out all the time, every time. Every time. So there's something benevolent which is helping me out of that all the time, every time. And I'm not doing it. It's not me, it's just happening. So yeah, it's amazing how this goes, and it's amazing how this all glues together and moves and it's so beautiful to experience that. And sometimes I'm also fed up with it. It happens also. I'm human. Please, I'm human. So sometimes I can shout or be angry or whatever. Yes, that makes me human. I do silly stuff. But also we have those moments. Last weekend we celebrated, my wife and I celebrated that we knew each other for 40 years, which is amazing, I think, in these times. And we enjoyed that. And it's amazing to see that and to experience that. And then just to reflect on how we grew and how stupid things I did in the past and how I hurt her. And oh my God, I said, oh my God, I still have so much to learn. But still, and that's also the effect of the principles, that we get better along all the time. And for some reason, the challenges get a little bit bigger all the time. That's okay. The great thing about that is we can just take them and see, well, where are we now? And what are we looking at now? Okay, didn't see that coming. And for some reason, it goes at this, the old saying goes, this too will pass. I was told once that even King Solomon had a ring. He wore a ring while he was doing his judgment in his court, and he had these cases, and sometimes they were quite boring. So then he took his ring and said, "Okay, this too will pass." It was inscripted in the inside of his ring, and yes, it does. And the funny thing is that as long as we don't take life so seriously, life will be much more agreeable to enjoy and much more easy to grow. Anna, you have a question. Good to see you, Anna.
Good to see you too, Svea. It's been a while.
Quite a bit, yeah.
Yes, it's awesome. I was just thinking, the good stuff is passing too.
I cannot hear you very well. Let me increase the
Let me
sound
just
a bit.
manage my volume because Zoom is a bit, and my
You're
voice.
very
There we go.
okay.
Now
A
it's
little bit
better.
closer to the microphone, maybe.
What came to me is with this too shall pass is exactly that. That this too shall pass. The good stuff will shall pass through,
Yes, it will.
For you.
Absolutely.
So that's why it's good to appreciate it while we have it.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise we're always from memory, just like you said at the start, and never really in experience. So what a novel notion that we can appreciate things while we have them. That we can actually be in the feeling of appreciation and live in that feeling. And the beauty is that the flow of life is always giving us new stuff to appreciate.
Mhm.
No matter what's happening, you know, when you tune into the appreciation channel, you will keep finding things to appreciate. That's just one of the things that I notice. Whatever I put my attention, I create more of.
Mhm.
So if I put attention in my confusion, if I put attention in the things that I don't understand, it's it feels real. It feels like it's expanding. But most of us, all of us, have seen things for ourselves.
Mhm.
We have seen things that can help us through those descending into the basement of, you know, consciousness. And I think that's the point of your metaphor from what I'm hearing. It is when you're there because of you knowing what you know, what makes sense is to keep going with your life, find something good, and hold on to that sliver of I am okay. I remember at the beginning of the year and was in hospital for a week. And man, if there is a sterile and cold and, you know, impersonal and environment is hospitals, you know.
Mhm.
At least this one, I am lucky not to know many hospitals. And you know, my thinking would just go with it. You know, it would be in the monotony of the patterns, you know, and the sameness of the building. And then I will find a window and I will see the seagulls flying. And I felt so much better.
Mhm.
That was my little routine, just walking to the window, seeing the seagulls, feeling that feeling. And then the rest passed on its own, you know. So it's a great reminder. I appreciate you sharing. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Anna. I can relate fully to what you're saying. When I had my accident in 1990, I have been in hospital for a month. And after a month, I pleaded to the doctor, please let me go. Let me recover at home because I'm getting crazy here. But I developed my own routines as well. So I went out to the room. I climbed the stairs because luckily they had stairs. So I climbed up the stairs and I went up 5 stairs and then walked to the other side and walked 5 stairs back again. So I did that the whole day just to get something, get a view. But on the other hand, there were also so many nurses who were trying to do so much their best to help you as good as they could. There was so much love also in that hospital, and that's amazing. And yes, it was a hard time, but there's always a sparkle there. There's always a little piece of something which can give you hope, which can give you satisfaction, which can give you love. It's always there. And that's what Marissa also referred to. There is always a sparkle of something beautiful to find. And it's there all the time. The problem is only we don't see it because we don't direct our attention to it. And it helps you overcome those moments where you see, oh my God, everyone's against me, nothing's going well. Why do I have to do this and why I have to do that and so on and so on. We have changed banks. Now, if you change a bank in the Netherlands, my God, the whole world goes berserk because it's, oh my God, you've got a different account number now. How are we going to handle that? Well, the bank said it's automatically dealt with because if someone tries to deduct something from your account, which is allowed to, now it's just deducting from this account, which is no problem. No, it doesn't work that way. There's still a lot of people, of organizations which can't handle that. I could easily get very worried about it. I had a call this afternoon when I was walking with the dog, and I got a lady on the phone. Yeah, and you noticed that we couldn't switch you to the other bank. Yeah, we can't do that in an automated way. Is it okay if we send you a document so you can do it on paper? That's fine. It's quite silly nowadays that you can't do that in an automated way. Yes, I agree, but yeah, it's the way it is now. My God, this is crazy. This is happening nowadays. It's 2024. And yes, and then I can laugh about it. It's much better than being worried or angry or disappointed, whatever. It doesn't help. It doesn't really help. Richie, good to see you.
Good to see you, Swear. You were I just love your energy, your smile,
Thank you.
your wisdom. There's pearls all over the place. And for the last couple of days, I've been struggling with the political situation here in the States. And it's just being on the call that, when I could point to so many things, but just saying a little something that I can feel good about. And I thought, what I'm hearing is a variation of Sid saying, look for a good feeling.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
Look for a good feeling and trusting that if something's bothering me, it's what I'm telling myself. But I've been conditioned for decades to say, well, that's what I need to look at.
Me too. Me too. Yeah, absolutely. That's what we do.
I need that. The way that I get out of the hole is to keep digging. That's sort of what I've learned how to do. And it's like with the principles, it's like, well, why don't you stop digging?
Yeah.
That's a start. Stop digging and then look for something to feel good about.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's this wonderful little video. There's a very well-known comic show, and I think you can find it on YouTube. It's called Stop It.
Oh yeah.
It's exactly that.
Bob Newhart. Stop it.
Yeah, stop it. Yeah, I'm afraid I'm going to lie in a box or something like that, or I'll be buried in the box.
Exactly. And I love what you said about, we learn very quickly.
Wow.
And I tell myself at my advanced age, well, no, I don't learn as quickly as I used to. But I think that's a lie.
Yeah.
I think that's a big old lie.
The problem is we have, by the time we get as old as we are, we get such a big memory.
Right.
That it's harder to discern.
Yeah.
to find the right stuff.
Right.
It takes us longer. So it feels like we're learning slower, but it is not true.
Yeah, right. So that's and just to introduce the possibility of that is exciting. I pass the time away. I'm watching TV or listening, and I play Sudokus. And when I get done with a Sudoku, I notice I feel good.
And
I go, What's with that? What's with that? I got a rule in here that I have to put in the final number to feel good. Is
Yeah.
that, and the feel good is always there, but
Yeah.
I've got all these rules that I need to complete to feel good. I need the politics to
Yeah.
work out a certain way so I can feel good.
That's our self-concept that we do all the time. We always
I know.
believe that self-concept, which is crazy. Which is crazy, really. Because we created sort of a dependency on that.
Yeah.
I can't feel okay if I haven't done the Sudoku or I
Right.
haven't put out the garbage
Or
or I
my
haven't
team,
walked the dog.
or my team wins, so I have to wait for once a week for my team to play. And if they don't win, I don't feel good.
Yeah, but on the other hand, it's important that your team wins because then you're in bliss,
Yes,
at least for a second or so.
at least for a second. And try not to hold on to it because it's not going to last.
Yeah, absolutely. But enjoy it while it's there.
That's right. That's right. So I just wanted to say thank you so much. I just appreciated seeing you, hearing these pearls of wisdom all over the place. So thank you so much for being here. It's just so nice to be in the conversation and be
You're most welcome.
and be reminded, or maybe even introduced for the first time, that even at my advanced age, the brain's still working very quickly. I can learn.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you very much, Richie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anna has raised her hand again.
I just
Hello,
found
babe.
it, it's good. I just found it really funny because something came to me was like, I need my mind to get quiet to be happy.
Oh.
Ah,
You,
and then
you
of
don't?
course it's like, how do I make
Yeah.
this happen? A beautiful, great reminder, that the happiness
the-
we seek is in the truth of who we are and nothing else.
No, absolutely. And the beauty of that is we don't have to quiet our mind because it will quiet itself. As soon as you are in a mode that will really support you, things go quiet in your head. And well, you've had those moments as well. When my children were small, they're now in the 30s. But when they were small, I went to look at them when they were sleeping at night. Just have a little glimpse of them sleeping in their beds. And they were so innocent and it was so peaceful and it was so wonderful just to see them and look at them. And then everything stands still. And you're quiet. And we only have those very tiny moments of that. And we want extended periods of that. Well, then you have to try meditating. I've done a lot of meditating in the past. I've done 8 years of meditating. And after some time I stopped. Because I didn't feel I needed it anymore. But if it helps you, please do. Okay with you, Anna?
Yes.
Liz, you have raised your hand. You have to
Unmute.
there
Yes,
you are.
thank you. Thank you, Swear. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here today. Just a couple things. What does the sign on the wall behind you say? You would say
Yeah,
it in Dutch and English?
it's in
Help
Dutch,
us know.
yes. It's
Okay.
in Dutch. It says in English, it says consciousness creates choice. That's my the way I look at stuff, really. If you look at stuff with a little bit more attention, you'll see that things will start to develop in some way. It just, how can I say that? Yeah, well, it's like Sid said, if only people weren't afraid of their experience, that alone would change the world. And it does. Just don't be afraid of your experience. Just be your experience. And then you'll see, okay, there's something beautiful in here. There's something awful in here. There's something scary in here. Yes, there are. There all are sometimes, and sometimes they're not. But that consciousness helps you just to notice, wait a minute, do I want to feel this? No, I don't want to feel this. Because my brain is telling me, this is not good for you. You don't have, you mustn't go in that direction. Well, maybe it's true, maybe it isn't. But the great thing is, our body, our brain is built for taking care of crisis. We have about, I think, 25 million of years of experience with that as a human being. It's not for nothing that we are one of the most successful species in this world. So trust your system, trust what we have, and just live your life. Because it's so powerful what we already have.
What you just said about with consciousness allowing it to guide us, it reminded me then of, and see what's really out there, see more of what is out there. As I think it was Nancy when you talked with her about widening the taking the blinders off, or widening the aperture, you might say, the opening through which, you know, you're able to see what's really there. Interesting point. One other thing, I know maybe we're getting near end of time, I don't know, but you mentioned your book. What is the title of your book, and what are some of the other chapter titles? Because you had me when I saw the webinar title is like, why fried chicken doesn't fly up in your mouth. I said, yeah, that's one I got to find out why.
I haven't written that chapter. I haven't written the chapter yet. But the title is there. I have if you go to my newest website, it's called sweermiedema.com, my name and then .com behind it. You can download the first 3 chapters, which I've written already and which are more or less okay. And you can see the rest of the chapters in there as well. I think this is about 20 chapters or something like that, which I thought up. I said, I want to write about this. I'm currently I think I'm in chapter 12 now.
Wonderful.
But it has to be edited, of course, and rewritten and taking care of my Dunglish. Yeah, that's a double whammy.
Yeah, your English is incredible. My goodness, so fluent, so spot on.
Well, thank you very much, but I still struggle for words.
This has been terrific. Thank you. I love the idea. And one other thing that caught me was when you said, after about 2 years after you accidentally discovered the principles. Yeah, right. There's no accident, I don't think. But anyway, that you realized one day you had no thought. I mean, and that Sid has, you know, he said, you want to get to the state of no thought. That's the purest form of mind that I guess we can experience. And do you have any ideas or thoughts about
how to reach that?
Yeah, well, something like that. I guess that was my question. Yeah.
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 Well, the funny thing is, when that was written, that sign over there, consciousness creates choice. I didn't know about consciousness very much yet, because I was giving a presentation to a group of ladies with had businesses, and I was teaching them about leadership and how to do that in that field. And a week later, I was introduced into the principles. And then I suddenly realized, my God, I didn't know that yet, but I wrote that.
That's funny.
And I got that as a present, as a thank you for doing the presentation, but I
Oh,
wasn't into the principles yet. And the funny thing is, when I was 30, about 30, I think, I found out I could trust my mind. Because I was tested by all kinds of organizations, and people were asking me all kinds of questions, and I didn't know the answer. I didn't have a clue. They had all these complex questions, and my God, they want to do this and that, and oh my, I don't know. Wait a minute. What I'll do, I'll just jot down what they want, and then I'll start thinking about that. Well, I jotted it down, but then something else happened, and something else happened, and something else happened. And then 3 or 4 days later, I opened the block note again. Oh yeah, I wrote down. Oh yeah, oh of course, solve that way. Wait a minute, where did that come from? And then I found out I had a sort of back burner in the back of my head, where I could just stick them in. And 3 or 4 days later, puff, there the answer was. Isn't that crazy?
it is
But
crazy.
we all have this,
Yes,
but you have to learn to trust mind. We have to learn,
it's such a great, it's
stop
such a great
believing what our
partner.
brain is telling us, and have to learn, oh my God, this is going to come. It
Yeah.
will solve itself. And sometimes it's a bit close. But most of the
I
time
think
it's not.
I think about that, what you just said in a cooking analogy, is when I put things in a crock pot
Yeah.
to assemble, to get to know each other, all the whatever the ingredients are, to have it cook for 6 hours and sort of know something's happening. I'm going to have a great dinner, and
Yeah.
and it's doing it's the assistant. Yeah, it's amazing
Yeah.
when mind really kicks in.
And what happened with me is I read and looked at and listened to anything I could find about the principles. And then one day it just happened. It just happened. And I don't know where it came from. But at first I was shocked. Oh my God, my brain's working anymore. What's going on? What's happening? Something's wrong. And then I realized, my God, this is exactly what I've been trying to achieve all the time. Oh, what do I do now? Well, maybe I should do nothing. And that's exactly what I did. I did nothing. And that has helped me all the time. But on the other hand, you have to stay aware. You have to stay conscious.
You have to make sure that when you see the fried chicken, you want to put the fork in it and get it to your mouth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Swear.
You're most welcome.
Mm.
It was my pleasure. Absolutely. Wonderful
Thank
to
you
be
so
here
much.
tonight.
Yes, thank you so much. It's been really lively, insightful, delightful. And before we sign off, I just want to tell you about the next webinar, which is coming up very, very soon. It'll be next week, July 11th at 1 p.m. Eastern, so the time's an hour earlier. And this will be with Hannah Studley, and she'll be talking about her new book, Beyond Diagnosis. which
Oh,
is
that's
great,
very
great.
well commended. Oh, please do read that. It's a wonderful book.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we'll see you all then, hopefully. And if you want to take a moment to unmute yourself, you can say thanks and goodbye to Sweer.
Thanks.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Sweer.
so much.
Thank you, everyone.